Welcome to The Extended Branch, a podcast aimed at demystifying the fraternal and business aspects of Freemasonry. I am Andrew Rizzatello, Worshipful Master of Olive Branch Lodge number 16 in Freehold, New Jersey. As always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Brother Billy Bilbo.
Hi.
Brother Kevin Cotter,
Hello,
Society
friends.
of King Solomon. Every time, it will not die. And tonight's special guest, I'm actually going to pass it off to Billy first, so we can just kind of slowly get into the mystery that is sitting next to me right here.
All right. So, first thing first, why don't we introduce you to the listening audience?
Viewing audience, yes.
Yeah, viewing/listening audience. What is your name?
What's your name, rank, serial number?
And more importantly, are you a witch?
Burn him!
Brother
Which?
Hoxie of Navasink Lodge and Ocean as well. Kevin, I've learned learned of this through Kevin because of our mutual love of philosophy.
Oh, yes, very good.
Of the show or of Freemasonry?
Oh, no.
The show.
Morgan has a much longer relationship.
I was going to say, like, wait a second. I thought I knew you've been in it longer than even I have.
Yeah.
So Morgan was good enough to come to be a guest, and very happy to invite him because he's so much fun that you'll all find out.
Kevin's
Bill,
trying to hold back the smile right now.
I just, it's going to be great. So, go ahead.
All right. So, Morgan, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Pleasure to be here.
Real quick, pass the gavel. We have a segment. I'm sure, as you said, you're a fan. Real quick, I want to let everyone know we're pretty much back as Freemasons. If you have not,
At least in New Jersey.
in New Jersey, yeah.
Yeah.
If you have been off planet for some reason and you didn't realize that the world stopped for about 16 months, we are slowly getting back into the swing of things, and we're actually having an event next weekend. So very excited about that. And
You mean, do you want to plug it? Do you want to plug the barbecue?
yeah, why not?
So technically, now this show is being recorded the week before it actually gets posted.
Right.
So
it's
technically, it'll be the Saturday after you see this show, the 19th of June.
right, but I'm still very excited. I mean, there's a lot of planning that's gone into it, and honestly, we've been blacked out for so long. It's just nice to have people around again. So
Absolutely.
we're having a barbecue on the 19th. We're gonna have a live band. The band is actually brothers from our lodge.
Well,
and-
three of them are.
Yeah, three of the five of them, right? And two of them are actually one of them is an actual brother, like a
Legitimate, yeah,
blood
blood, yeah.
brother of one of our brothers. So if you hear this in time and you want to come, the 19th at our lodge, Olive Branch.
2 Dutch Lane Road in Freehold. Tickets are $25.
There you go.
You can pay at the door, cash or credit. I personally will be there with a PayPal app, a point of contact device. So, if you wanted to pay that way, if you don't have any cash on you, it's open.
That's why he's the boss.
Yeah. Since you're doing a little bit of pass the gavel, I'd like also to put out something. 2 days ago, so I mentioned that the godfather of my child is a Freemason. He he finally got his Master Mason degree
you're great.
about 2 weeks ago,
Awesome,
and
congrats.
unfortunately for him,
At your lodge?
no, down in Georgia.
No.
Unfortunately, his wife's father passed away, who was also a brother. So let me just give a little cheers to the passing of the brother. May the great architect of the universe hold him. And Kevin, do you have anything to present?
Nope.
You're all good?
I'm great, man.
All right, then.
Kevin still got his masters, so that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
And tenure.
He did that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
things
Ooh,
are
that's
good.
even better. Yeah. Now
Good.
Yeah.
He's a
Looking
dean.
forward to the summer, man.
Steady job.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You can outcrack that whip.
Yeah. So, no, things are great.
All right. Awesome.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to jump in because Morgan and I and Kevin and Andrew have a lot to talk about tonight. So I want to jump in. We're only going to do one name. Who's that Mason?
Wait,
So-
do I hear a theme song?
Yeah.
Do I hear? No, he's eating right now, so
No,
leave him alone.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Don't come in. We may have something.
Who's that? No, that's just wrong.
Not you, Squeaky. Not you, Squeaky.
No, I
Not
was
you.
going to do it. I don't know what Andrew was doing.
My falsetto is horrible.
At least you know.
I do.
All right. So, gentlemen, just to reiterate the rules for everyone, I'm going to give you 3 clues. You can guess anyone in the world.
The first one will be extremely vague.
Yep, not going to know.
Mason
You're not
was
going
a
to know.
person.
If you can guess it, you can thank Hat over there because of that. He was guessing him one clue in on the first.
What are you
one.
talking about? Hat over there. There's 2 of us.
Well,
like
the Hat.
the hat.
Mr. Hat. So you can guess anyone you want. There are no points, and it's just for fun. So let's see if you guys can guess who this guy is. So you ready to play Who's That Mason?
This one's gonna be fun.
First clue, he was born on Earth.
Wow, you are very close.
Christian's only been the
You are-
engineer maybe like 2-3
Yeah.
times. He's already got it down.
All right. Question number 1. This famous Mason was born in Canada after the turn of the 20th century.
Canadian Mason.
You want to be a Canadian Mason?
Oh God.
I would keep going, man.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2.
Clue number 2.
This famous Mason was an ordained minister in 1920s San Francisco, California.
Born in Canada, ordained minister in San Francisco.
The 20s.
I'm gonna lean with actor, but go ahead.
You ready? Last one.
Okay, go ahead.
This famous Mason would be the manliest in the Fellowship Hall.
Manly P. Hall.
Yep.
Really?
Oh, actually, Manly P. Hall.
Yep.
Who is that guy?
All right. I am glad you asked, Kevin, because I have 3 pages to tell you about him.
Oh jeez.
No, I'm not going to read all through it. Let's go
Yeah,
quick.
because we already had a
Yeah.
debate
We've
on
been
his
beating
book.
him up for like
Weeks.
4 episodes.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, not to spoil anything coming in the future, but while I was doing this, I was thinking about doing Prince Hall, and I didn't want to spoil him as a Who's That Mason. I'm having an idea for something a
Even
little
better?
more significant.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about him, and I don't.
They're absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
the man started his version of the fraternity.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so Manly P. Hall, who did not start a version of our fraternity, born in March 18th, 1901, and died on August 29th, 1990. He was born in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. Oh, I'm sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. He was initiated in the Jewel Lodge number 374 in San Francisco, June 28th, 1954, passed on September 20th, 1954, and raised November 22nd, 1954. He took the Scottish Rite degrees in 1955, and he received his 32nd degree in the Valley of San Francisco later that same year. So, Kevin, you asked, who is this guy?
That would be
Yeah,
southern,
so-
right?
so-
San Francisco is southern.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you real quick. So, some things you may know him by, the reason why I picked him for tonight.
Country, really.
Between 1921 and 1923, he wrote 3 books. The Initiates of Flame, published in October 1922. The Ways of the Lonely Ones, published in 1922. And The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, published in March 1923.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
So the book that he's most known for, Manly P. Hall,
Is How to Start a Masonic Podcast.
The Secret,
is kindling for a Masonic podcast.
The Secret Teachings of All Ages.
Yep.
That was his book.
Yes.
Yeah,
Indeed.
that's the book that Brother Kevin and Brother Moretti discussed.
Yep.
Yeah. So when it came up before, it's something you ought to have on your shelf at some point.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll
Yeah.
Brother Moretti's not here to defend himself, so I'll just leave it there. It's on my shelf. It's
Yes.
on his shelf.
One
we
neat thing.
parted as friends.
One neat thing before we go on, the full title of the book per himself, and you know how I love a title.
With the Secret Teachings?
Yep.
Oh, God.
An encyclopedia. I gotta take a deep breath. An encyclopedic outline of Masonic, Hermetic, Kabbalistic, Rosicrucian symbolic philosophy, being an interpretation of the secret teachings concealed within the rituals, allegories, and mysteries of all ages.
What section of the library is that?
tongue
This
twisters.
isn't
Yes.
Star Wars.
Yes,
As
Christian,
written by the Wills. Wait. As told by the. Oh, I can't. Do you guys get it?
I think
As
it's a
told-
midichlorian thing on that.
Yeah.
As told by the Wills. Yeah. The full original.
All right, so that's Manly P. Hall. I figured you would have nailed that one, Kev.
No, man.
Oh. Well, good on you, Morgan. Our guest takes one for Name the Mason. No, that was
Thank you.
That was Andrew.
I was just gonna.
Wow.
No, hold on.
Andrew was still.
It
I
was the
apologize.
guy with the hat.
Yeah, that's true. I said hat.
Yeah, I mean,
So I retract. I mean, I'll give it to.
He's the mysterious traveler. He's got the better fedora. That's
I'll
what
give it
is.
to Morgan anyway.
Okay, so it's my turn. We're gonna do another before and after.
All right.
We're getting the games
if
out of the way
you,
first because there's gonna be a lot of talking.
Yeah. So this is. I only have one. This is also about an author, different author.
Okay.
Manly P. Hall had his time. I'm surprised he came back tonight, but that's just what it is. So here you go.
It was tricky.
This Masonic author's magnanimous manliness is almost as prominent as this Rocky Mountain pinnacle
Teddy Roosevelt.
point. No.
Teddy Roosevelt.
That's a
Wait, what?
very good guess though.
What was the last part? Rocky Mountain.
Okay. Listen, this Masonic author's magnanimous manliness is almost as prominent as this Rocky Mountain pinnacle point.
What's the highest peak in the Rocky
I don't
Mountains?
know.
Mount McKinley? No, isn't that in Alaska or something?
Yeah, that's no. But something about manliness.
I thought Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes
Well-
to me that makes the
Right.
most
And
sense.
the mountain?
But it's
Zero
but
in
it's
on-
but it's but the way he likes to do is there are words in that sentence that form the name.
And the order is important. This Masonic author's manliness is more
Magnanimous.
impressive than this Rocky Mountain pinnacle point.
It's like Manly P something.
No, it's Arthur something.
Albert Pike's Peak.
There you go.
Oh, that's
Good for you.
Really?
There you go. Well done.
Oh!
That's a microphone.
Save.
You awake, Christian?
Ooh,
That wasn't that loud.
That's
pretty loud.
excellent. Pikes Peak.
man. Yeah.
You
Took
could
me a
have gone
second.
in with the coffee. Isn't that one of the coffees at Starbucks?
Yes, I thought about that.
Oh,
and I
Pikes
was like,
Peak?
that's,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a little, at Pike Place.
Okay.
Oh,
So
Pike's Place, yeah.
you know, Pikes Peak. I think
right.
maybe a
Pikes
little
Place
more.
is actually a neighborhood in Seattle.
right. So yeah,
That one was
good
good.
on you,
I was
dude.
think- I was thinking about that one.
was pretty good.
Good job.
Well, that makes sense with our guest here tonight.
Yeah,
So
look it
I'm
up.
gonna
look at me and Kevin.
I'm gonna go back to Billy because Billy obviously has some questions because obviously the viewers don't know you besides your name and your title and whatnot, and how like I mentioned before you've been a Mason probably longer than the rest of us.
Oh wait, I got my.
Oh Jesus!
Wait, why
He's
am I
got
doing
his
my Lewis
things.
jewel?
Oh, you have a Lewis jewel.
Yeah, my father.
Oh, this is new. We have not seen one of these on the show yet.
There we go.
So
there
this
you go.
is at least New Jersey's version of the Lewis jewel, and what that is that is given to family members where it can be passed down, and it can skip a generation, right?
Yeah.
In New Jersey, where you can have a grandfather or a father who was a Mason, and then you
So
get
actually,
one.
Hold that up so that they can see. So the idea of a Lewis is it's a tool that actually helps you lift stones, and so the whole point is you have to have the support above and below it
Mm-hmm.
for it to work. So therefore, you have the Masons above, past, and the newer Masons below, and they all are part of a working, functional,
Yeah. Honestly,
tool.
that's the first time I've actually seen this.
Yeah. So I was
That's
2015. I am so.
All right, see, actually, you're only 1 year Masonically older than I am.
Okay.
So, but still, that year makes a difference. It does.
Cool. Very cool. All right, Morgan,
Yes.
are you ready? We've come to the point in the show.
The point.
Yep.
The point of no return.
The point of the show when I'm gonna ask you a few questions.
All right, grill me.
Because I'm Billy Bilbo,
Ooh,
and
see
these are
that?
my questions.
He did. He played right into it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm like blushing.
Don't worry, we
now.
catch things.
So, Morgan, well, my first question was to be, who are you? But we already answered that one at the top of the show. What do you do?
My day job.
Yeah.
I'm a network engineer.
Oh, awesome. I'm kinda so similar there. All right, that was an easy one. And all right, so here's the big one. This is the one that we've all been waiting for. What got you interested in Freemasonry?
Well, I mean, my father was a Mason, so I distinctly remember him going over Actually, any of the other Masons out there will find this hysterical because he's got and anyone who knows the blue books before the black books.
Oh yeah.
And he's going over. He's going over a blue book.
Oh yes, I have one.
He's at the kitchen table, and he's got a corded phone. We're on the gold corded AT&T phone, and he's going, "This isn't just proper English. I don't understand. This isn't worded right, you know." And that was literally my first exposure.
Great.
Because and I look back at it. My father's since passed, but I look back at it now and I go, "Oh, yes, of course, that's what he was doing. Yes, of course."
Right.
So, but I had always been interested in the esoteric, and just, I mean, really, you know, as a kid, I mean, you know, being a '90s kid,
you
know, so you know, we get all these awesome movies that are just, I mean, occult,
mind-blowing,
occult, esoteric mysticism is just not even
vampires
a
and werewolves and all that stuff.
It's not even a fabric in the society today. It
really isn't.
It really isn't. And I could go on for ages about this with a thesis that I'm almost crafting.
Although, and I have mentioned this in a separate thing, D&D specifically has been making a very big comeback.
Oh, huge.
You know, like it's become very prevalent, in a much more positive way than it was in the 80s.
100%.
But
Probably a little helped with Stranger Things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But like as opposed to like what you were saying, like movies and TV and stuff.
Oh man,
it's not the same.
We are bereft right now.
Yes,
I mean,
that's a very good word.
People are.
It's all remakes of the stuff we've already seen. I'm tired of it.
And if they touch Lost Boys, I swear to God,
they are. You know they're gonna.
And it's.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh God.
There's a CW Lost Boys show in production.
God.
No, I boycott.
Can we make a third Footloose? Because we need that.
Yeah, why not? Because Teen Wolf 2 was right there too.
Anyway,
you know, but being steeped in that, I think, and really, I would say, people whose opinions are valid have said that the '90s actually were really a golden age in film and music, and we really are seeing that this age. You know, it's not because we're like, you know, get off my lawn, my time was better. It's no. People of all walks of life, of all art and culture, are all saying like this was just a better time. But so that really got me into the interesting, and that's all beside. Really, it's just, you know, I had been in little groups of, you know, new age shops and things like that, and getting into that, and really my first
West
foray.
and,
yes.
But then but we had one in downtown Point Pleasant called New Age, you know, and I met my best friend there, actually, Dr. Andrew Presti. He's a brother as well, who's part of Kevin and my philosophy club. And so some of these ideas are actually his, or ours, that we formulated over the years, even though it's his PhD, so gotta give him credit where it's due, 100%. So,
hell of a thing to have a doctorate in.
Yeah, it's basically he does it in, it's like, what's this, German history and philosophy, which is really
that's the best to listen to that.
Yeah, because that's, you know, Nietzsche, Heidegger, all them.
Oh my God, those guys!
Hooray for existentialism!
Yeah,
great.
They talk about why the inner workings of the mind are inner working. I love that.
Well, my favorite one is actually the Ready to Hand, which is Heidegger's Ready to Hand, about you are only in the moment. Actually, we can loop back to this. You were only in the moment when you're actually doing something. So they use a carpenter hammering nails to say, you know, within that carpenter is hammering nails, he is he's in the ready to hand, because he is. You're not thinking about it, you're doing it, and really that's quote unquote being in the zone. Which
yes,
and that's really, as he would say, to, you know, essentially we're boiling it down to this ridiculously low level, but it's basically saying that this is the essence of kind of being. And existing is not thinking and actually being and doing, you know. So
as opposed to relativity and whatnot.
Right. So, you know, but for me, you know, and actually, because it was funny, I'm going to loop back to Manly P. Hall, because as you said, Kevin, you know, it's something that should be on everyone's bookshelf, and I find something, and I think this is a great jumping off point. Something that should be on everyone's bookshelf, I think, if you are an esoterically inclined Mason, is something like Aleister Crowley. And that's fine.
Ooh, yes. Yeah.
It should be on your shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Not as a reference point, but just something to look at.
Mysticism, because his ideas are something to contemplate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But see, and this is
even as whacked out as they were.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, I mean,
you
know.
J.R.R. Tolkien wasn't any less crazy than Aleister Crowley. You know what I mean?
No, but he put it across as fantasy.
Yeah, J.R.R. Tolkien didn't, depict giant Titanic phalluses under the illusion of cocaine.
Wait, I thought this was H.R. Geiger.
Yeah,
H.R. Giger.
So, I mean, Crowley was out there, but is this stuff worth reading? Absolutely. But and this is a great jumping off point of people will focus on those things. So if you're an esoterically inclined Mason, they'll say, ooh, and they'll go and they'll look. And while that's something that should be on everyone's shelf, and you should certainly read it, I think people get stuck in a Western mindset.
Very much
Right.
so.
I think they get stuck in, and it's not their fault. They're not exposed to it. I mean, some people who willingly will be like, no, that's all I want to look at. And you're like, okay, I suppose, but I think that people, I mean, it's a little bit of product of our culture, and a little bit of just access to resources. And I think also what the Blue Lodge does doesn't really help because, and again, they're not really doing anything wrong, but they're not helping. Because they're making people, as Kevin and I have frequently said, making them do it wrong, and it's not because what it really is people go down this lineage route, the route of finding the source. What do we call it? Finding
The source wall? Like,
well,
what is this like?
it's finding
Is it coming into comics now?
finding the pathway to link back in the past, I can't remember the word.
I don't recall.
But finding,
Nostalgia?
No, it's actually physically linking. Like, say, we're going to physically link Masonry. We're going to actually find the tie back. And getting stuck in lineage, getting stuck in chronology. Getting stuck in
the archaeological.
right,
Yeah,
and trying to find a link where it's not necessary.
Don't force it. It's
not necessary.
there.
And
right.
I find over and again Masons who they try to find a source for, they're like, oh, well, we do this, where does it come from? And then they go and they look at the fact that there was multiple, secret societies were all the rage in the 20th century. It's, and if you look at, there's actually a wonderful...
Any member of AMD out there, duh.
Oh, yeah. If you look at, there's actually a wonderful a lecture on the great courses of this guy talking about secret societies.
Oh, yes.
And it's a little bit, it's got a little dash of History Channel to it, but yeah, it's
digestible.
no, yeah, right.
Fair.
Yeah.
And what he does is he says, look, these are the facts, and he's like, what am I going to call a secret society? I'm going to call it a group of people that are plainly known, but it's exclusive, and they meet secretly, but yet they are publicly known, and things like that.
Skulls.
With imagery or
Bilderbergs,
right.
So let's
The
throw this
Pentaveret.
out here because I want to stay exactly on this topic.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
so
gonna-
the formation of this particular episode,
Mm-hmm.
the thought behind it was, this overarching just sense that, we observe things, even the best things in our craft, the daily things that we encounter, and it's easy for us to be critical, and we should be critical, and everybody here would agree it's our job to be critical.
Right.
And I would say,
And not negatively so,
No.
just
no, but if you care,
Maybe.
if you care,
on some things. Some
Maybe.
things.
so
Well,
it's like
not overly harsh.
so the
fair.
theme is you're doing it wrong,
Right.
Yes.
And I know that becomes contentious immediately as soon as you hear it, right?
It's a negative connotation.
But here's where I want to start, and then I want to go right back to what you're talking about. It would be the equivalent of us, like, starting a garden, picking out our plants, putting them carefully in the ground, right? And then we water them and we take care of it. And then on a daily basis, we just walk back in there and we yell at them to grow.
I mean,
Well said.
is there
Well
something
said.
wrong with that?
Don't plants like music?
Let's put it-
Isn't that?
Yeah, I was gonna
music?
say, like,
and as a theme, that may not be the most efficient practice. So Morgan, go ahead, go
Right.
back to what you're saying.
Right. No, excellent. Thank you.
So yeah,
Right. And but it's
now
yelling
just
at the
picture
sky.
Kevin walking in,
Yelling
just
at-
yelling at
Yelling at
Petunia.
What's wrong with you?
That guy
my
petition.
begonias. So you have people looking at lineage, and you have them looking at, just historical. I guess just legitimacy,
provable things.
It's legitimacy through historical chronology, really,
Yeah.
Yes.
and that's just the wrong way to go about
agreed,
it. And
yeah.
really, and if that's what you're spending your time, if you're really interested in, okay, let me find the history of Freemasonry, let me find the history of this, and you can go back and look at that. But if you're really searching, you're doing it wrong. You need to go back and you need to look at the nature of what things are. And I've been calling it the manner and form in which Masons meet has been done for millennia.
Yes.
Millennia.
Yeah.
We have literally the Eleusinian mysteries. We have the Orphic mysteries. We have
Oh yes, Orpheus. Gee, Kevin.
I wonder where
Keep
that.
going, man.
we have the Mithraic mysteries, and it's look, people who meet in rows and have dinner and in a cave. And,
How about that?
Yeah, and in a secret place that's public that only admits men. What?
Yeah, and it only comes from Europe.
Yeah, right. And so,
But these are the things that we walk into a Blue Lodge.
Right.
Never Egypt.
And if they're
Or
never
Western
if they're
from-
never brought up to be observed,
right.
we're not working as hard as we could.
Yep.
Right, and it's and I think that, and I was thinking before today, and because like I actually meant to ask one of my friends, like, if you would call Hellenistic Greek culture, if you would call that Eastern or Western, or is it literally, or would you just have to
that's a very
simply
good point.
say it's Hellenistic?
It is. I mean, it is Hellenistic.
Right.
It's a.
But there's so much in there. Like I've personally been diving into that whole era and like where some of the Greek gods and Roman gods
Right.
came from and whatnot. Actually, there's another really good YouTube series called Overly Sarcastic Productions, and the female just simply goes by the name of Red. That's what she does. That's her shtick is gods and goddesses and stories and
Nice.
stuff like that.
They're so ridiculous.
And
they
it,
really
like
are.
she has a whole
Are they over the
series.
top?
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
not
think-
not her. I'm just talking
Just
about
the Greeks.
Greek gods
yeah,
in
yeah,
general.
yeah, right.
No, not her.
So
no.
they're- I love them.
Well, the Greek gods are great.
Yeah.
And then the Roman gods were
But
Jeff,
they
the
are-
god of biscuits,
They are
Well, so
and Simon, the god of hairdos.
correct.
but she has like an entire video on where
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite comes from.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's the
it's
whole
not
thing.
it's not what we
Yes.
as Westerners like. Oh, it's Aphrodite. She was the goddess of beauty.
No, no,
there's
not really, yeah.
Aster and all this other
There's-
nonsense.
yeah.
Right, and that's really the thing is, and I'm not gonna harp on someone for not knowing all their Hellenistic
Right.
gods.
Yeah, that's fine.
But the thing is you look back and you look, and I think the overarching theme here is perennialism. Is that, and here's this here, and Alan Watts, if any of you have ever listened to him, Alan Watts.
Don't
yes,
touch it.
That book is like almost 100 years old, so just
Ooh,
be
yay.
gentle.
I was kidding.
The I lost my train.
I'm sorry.
Perennialism.
Perennialism, thank you, Alan Watts.
Alan Watts,
Well, he's the best, and you can listen to his stuff. Most of his stuff is on YouTube, and some of it has like cheesy music put over it, but whatever. He really talks about perennialism, and I think he's someone who gets it, and it's because my whole point is you have people needing sharing knowledge. Now we look at say Mithraism, and that was really cosmic. We from what we can gather, it was. They with the celestial things around, it's like there's the planets and things, and they're like, all right, so these dudes were all there about,
They got
like,
it,
all right,
yeah,
like, so we got
they
the
got
sun.
it,
The sun
yeah.
comes around, we get this.
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
is 2,000 years ago.
These
so
aren't just lights that light up the night.
right,
You know,
and they really understood. So they're celestial bodies, and that was their thing.
Yeah.
Right? But the manner and form in which they met is the same as the Eleusinian mysteries.
Yeah,
The
it's
same
amazing.
as, and so you have this. This is what people should be focusing on: the manner and form in which Masons and other groups meet.
It's almost the way you're describing it. It's almost in a way like I came to the conclusion. There's a band called High Lung. It's a Proto-Germanic band, and it's all like real like drum
Have you ever heard of
circles.
Corvus Corax?
No.
They're another one.
Yeah,
Here
War
come the deep
Druna.
cuts.
Yeah.
War Druna and that kind of stuff.
They have a song like Bacchus, and it's just
Yeah.
literally just drums,
drums and
yeah,
chanting and
yes,
whatnot.
Yes, yes.
And for me, I use it as meditation kind of stuff. But like, it was this primal feeling of hearing it for the first time. Like,
Yeah.
why am I connected to this?
Yes.
Gee, I wonder. Like the Native Americans did this.
Right.
The early Europeans did this, and they're
The
oceans
drums,
Well, that's
apart.
yeah.
dance music, really. I mean, it's
But still, but like
It's all about the drums.
But it
absolutely.
also harkens back to how you were describing that you have all these separate groups,
Right.
but they're doing the same thing, and
Right.
even some of them are oceans apart. But there's
Right.
there's something in our heads
It's
that
perennialism.
tell us.
It's all a part of some whacked out conspiracy.
That's right.
Shush over there.
but it is.
All right, Cheech.
Love you, Christian. Sorry.
But it is. I mean,
Love you, man.
and because it's the music like that. I mean, again, the nature of us experiencing something and the human need for it, and the human need for enlightenment. Because again, so we're going back. So Kevin, and like I said, our theme is you're doing it wrong. And it's like the idea, and I know you covered this in an episode a few ago, about how really you need to be focusing on the trivium and quadrivium, because these are the liberal arts and sciences. And I'm sorry, if you're a master, what was that called? That was the original masters. You were a master, literally, if you knew the trivium and quadrivium.
Yeah.
So therefore, you should aspire to be a master.
No, agreed.
In practice, because why are you doing this?
Right.
Otherwise, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, there it is. Ding.
Ding.
It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like,
Word of the day.
Okay, so this is great. This is exactly what I wanted to get to. So, can we take this, the value we've just placed in all of these things, this proto-existence of how we meet as Freemasons, and I want to offer something that came across my mind when I thought, again, in the best sense of you're doing it wrong. What would be an ideal practice, right? To work backwards, to reverse engineer it. Here's an ideal practice that we could see in a lodge that they're doing for their members, and go, oh, that makes a lot of sense, and kind of just talk about what might the merits be, right? So, I believe, honestly, if we have somebody come in and they show an interest in the lodge, and we've gone through our process of
vetting them,
of petitioning, right, and we're doing all that stuff, they have an appreciable amount of time to wait before their first degree.
Oh yeah,
which is necessary.
I think it's necessary, but I also think
2 years. I think minimum.
I also think
that's my call.
We could use that as a venue to begin the process of introducing this,
the knowledge,
content.
the teaching,
So hey, first of all, everything starts from a personal standpoint, and we've done it here, which is, hey, why did you want to be a Mason? Right? Because that's important. That is what people will come to find out. Right. You know, we refer to in Freemasonry very openly as our cable toe, right? So it's our, it's our piece. It's our our piece
slice
of our
of the cake,
humanity that we bring in the door, right? So what do you think about making a really concerted effort of taking new guys, not yet initiated guys, not yet experienced their first degree, and sharing with them these types of things? Because I think there's a certain body of Freemasonry that would say absolutely not, and there would be a certain body of Freemasonry that would say, why haven't we been doing this?
I say
what do you
yes.
think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I also say, why not? Why not introduce them? I mean, we don't have to give them the whole picnic basket, but we can at least start introducing them to the concept.
I kind of do that on the tours already, at least within our lodge.
When I was secretary, I would be first contact.
Right.
So I would sit and talk with guys on the phone for an hour.
Right.
And just get into the weeds with them and be like, hey man, what do you know?
And again, this is kind of one of those conversations where it's, we're in a little microcosm. You were in your lodge, we do it in different in our lodge, but we are the microcosm of New Jersey, and who knows if
17th.
New York, outward from there. Obviously, for our calling card, at least in Olive Branch, we're big into the fraternal aspect, just being a band of brothers. And if you saw Brother Long's show, you can understand that. However, there are a few of us, obviously Kevin, Nick Compatello, and other guys that are heavily into the esoterics. Right. And that option is given, at least when I do the tours around the lodge, to say, like, listen, some people come here for fraternalism, some people come here to learn about secrets that may have been lost in time. Right. If you're one of those people, I will direct you in a way to other members who are more into that.
See, now that's the ideal, I think. But the only problem is, if you're not around, where does that person go?
Yeah.
Well,
that's the problem.
But I think it's like, hey,
it's a one-man welcing committee at most places.
Well, it can't be.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
What I'm saying is, you drive right into the storm and say, like, you're involved in the petitioning process. You're going to have something to do. Like, we have these new EA guys, we have these new entered apprentices. They're going to go in that room, they're going to shut the door, they have their own work to do. But for you guys, thanks for coming out to have dinner. Yeah. And you can stay here and pretend to watch hockey like I did for 9 months.
I got to say, though, the guys at Olive Branch the Olive Branch gets the award for dudes who come before they're initiated and just do nothing and hang out. It's incredible.
It's cool.
Again,
it's incredible.
Just the fraternalism.
When I had just joined and I first traveled, and I was like, okay, and I went to Olive Branch maybe. What? No, it was a rehearsal or something. I don't know. I just came for some reason. I have no idea why.
Always people.
But then I walk in and I go, who are these guys? And they're like, oh yeah, there's petitioners. And I'm like, they've been hanging down here for like 2 hours?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like 2 months.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Never saw that.
Come Tuesday, they'll be there.
So,
The crop we have right now is excellent.
So
Yeah,
I would say that each one of those guys needs to have a fraternal conversation.
Yeah.
They need to have an esoteric conversation. Just
Yes.
a conversation.
Right.
It's not like, oh, you're not going to leave here with, homework on the Eleusinian mysteries.
Right, well, it's just what's your idea?
I
don't even know what that means.
No, that just makes me tingle.
What's your
that's so much like
What's your concept of the universe?
but then the service aspect too. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's a three-pronged approach that we could share.
How are you going to go into
just to say, look, we know that Freemasonry is not one thing to anybody, but it is fraternal, and it is esoteric, and it is civically minded, right? And if we're doing our best selves, like we're representing this appropriately, we should be sharing that immediately. And I don't think we have to wait for them to be a Master Mason,
Right.
Agreed.
so they can
Yeah.
vote on toilet paper in order to do that.
Right. And napkins.
Agreed.
I mean, but see, the allure of Masonry, I think, has become less prevalent. I mean, what's the movie with Michael Caine?
which one?
Where he's a Mason.
Batman.
No.
And the guy,
No,
and the
okay.
guy,
Oh, that was Dark
Wait,
Knight.
Cider House Rules.
it's old, and it's an
Austin
old
Powers.
film, and the guy sees, he sees something that he's a Mason. He goes, "Oh, you're a Mason."
Oh, the man who would be king.
yeah.
No, that's not Michael Caine. That's
No, he's in the movie,
is he in the movie?
Yeah,
No, I
with
thought
Sean
that's
Connery.
Sean Connery.
right?
Yeah, he said Michael Caine though.
What? Yeah, but isn't it Michael Caine who's the Mason?
No, Sean Connery is
You're
Sean.
right. But does Michael Caine say that to him then? I'm
I
getting
thought they're
confused.
both in the movie.
Are they
How
both in
old
the
is
movie?
this movie?
It's old.
It's old.
This is
Is it Highlander?
no, is it Highlander? No.
You said old, and I was like, okay.
No,
Robin
don't
Hood,
you be
Prince of
pulling this
Thieves.
again. We're not having that
If we
kind
could
of
only have a Highlander degree, that would
my
be
God.
wonderful.
There can
But,
be
I
only
mean,
But
one.
the point is,
Right.
Grand Lodge might frown on beheadings.
join
is,
join the shrine.
No one needs to get beheaded. We can stab someone; they'll live.
The point is, you have a major motion picture, and people, and this is 30, 40 years ago now, but
This is why they
you
make
have
IMDb.
people saying, "Oh, you're amazing," and that used to be a thing. We don't have any presidents anymore, so like we have to really make up for that.
Yeah.
And again, the internet kind of has, and I've noticed a resurgence of young guys in their 20s because I think it's their rejection of the hyper social media. And
It is? Okay.
yeah. And then so, like it's the rejection of the social media, it's rejection of kind of like the hyper aware culture. Because at least a lot of guys at Navasink, have come because they're like, I just kind of want to hang out with dudes and just,
It does, and that's another
I'd
thing
like
that
to just have guy friends.
that
have fun.
I express to petitioners and anybody honestly who just wants to listen to me ramble is that there is a psychologically satisfying approach when you come to a lodge and you don't work with these guys. And not to sound misogynistic, but there's no women involved, so you're losing that.
There's no competition.
Exactly, that's the word.
That is the reason
competition.
why there's no women.
Yeah,
There's
not.
There's
A lot of reasons.
decades
still
of data that,
Yes.
that prove these things on every age range.
It'll be
so
bad.
Yeah,
we don't-
but again,
next
not
topic,
misogynistic.
yes.
Yeah.
But like you come into a lodge, you don't work with these guys. There's no women involved. It's definitely that literal fraternal aspect of coming in and just having
Right.
some form of brotherhood that is physical in the sense of I can shake these gentlemen's hands.
support group.
Yes,
It's a
is.
support group.
It is absolutely
I've always
is.
said the best Masons are single and widowed. Because they don't have people to worry about. Because they're the ones that can spend all their time. They're the ones that can be officers. They're the ones that do it. But it's not held against you.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that
No.
these guys have a lot of time. But here's the thing. How many guys do you know who've been through a divorce or single, and they come to a lot of meetings and they go and they travel a lot. But that's great. That's wonderful because
Well,
then
you-
you can
you-
go and be with other brothers.
Yeah, and you see the sense of relief on their face.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's true.
And that even if you're not walking in their shoes, just hey man, how you doing? You're going to sit with them, and they can have dinner with somebody.
Right.
You know, like that's everything.
And I will say,
really
Olive
is.
Branch has always been probably the most welcoming lodge in the
We
district.
try. Honestly,
It's been that since Danny Xavier. I remember.
he was
Adam
he.
and Danny Xavier.
He's the one that initiated. Well, under his year, I was initiated, and he definitely had ideas for this very fraternal and community-based
Right.
version of the lodge.
Right.
And that's another thing that as a master, you have to make that decision as what is your year going to be about. Is it going to be community-based? Is it going to be philosophic learning-based? Is it going to be what do you want? A good mixture is always the best option, but you're not all of your members are going to be the esoteric type or want to go and ring a bell outside of a spirits to gather funds or something like that. So you do definitely have to find that mix. And I think if I want to say that we're doing anything wrong, we need to get back to that.
Right. Well, I think the division thing you said is really good because I have here as well Observing the Craft by Andrew Hammer. And here's a guy that, depending on who you are, you may love or hate him, because he has the Lodge of Strict Observance.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so for anyone out there that doesn't know what this is it's his idea of saying these are the rules, this is what you should do, and it should be followed exactly. And the lurking fascist in my heart maybe kind of agrees with that.
Well, at least you admit it.
Because I go, I kind of like that. Yeah. But the monarch that wants to get out. But he has a point. He definitely has a point because he talks explicitly about the problems that we have. If you've ever read this book, about the toilet paper problem, the problem of just bills and these things, and just what are you doing?
Well, it's the lodge being landowners versus the lodge being a group of people.
Right. And so, but I feel that, he goes about it the wrong way because he's just hammering it home, no pun intended, that he is...
very intended.
That was earlier,
Slow down. I missed that one.
So, but he doesn't need... Because
I'm a simple man.
He comes to lodges and he gives
nail,
lectures and
if you will.
things, and he basically... is saying, look, you're basically, he's actually the OG really doing it wrong of our generation.
That's right. Okay, so there you go.
He really is.
That's right.
But I think he kind of goes
Props
about
are
it.
given.
Yeah, because I think he goes about it a little bit wrong because he just says this is kind of what it has to be. And I think, Kevin, your idea is a little bit better because we're not going to escape the fact that we're going to have guys who just want to have fellowship and brotherhood and just look like they want to be part of a club. That's fine.
That's fine.
We have a tree house with a password and
He-Man women haters.
that's what it is.
But listen,
I mean,
The no homers.
But those guys,
yes.
those guys will go with you when you take. Let's say you just take basic esotericism, right? Things that we toss around and but you take it upstairs and you do it like a Masonic Jeopardy thing. They will go with you. They'll enjoy it. They'll have a great time.
Gee, you don't speak from experience at all.
I've heard that it was done. So, but like we have to give people the chance, right? So this is great. And like, so for example, there's a couple different speeds here, right? So if you are a Master Mason and you're interested in, really kind of looking to find what's out there in terms of really strict observance and oh my God, like as doing Freemasonry in lockstep, what would it look like and sound like and feel like? That's what this book, Observing the Craft, is.
Correct. Yeah.
You're wearing your Masonic army uniform,
right?
And this is lodge,
right?
Salute.
Well, I mean, and it's not just that. It's the floor work. Certainly, it's the ritual,
right?
But it's every meeting somebody gets up and presents a paper.
Right.
Oh,
yes.
So this is like in our jurisdiction. This is more like NJ lore.
The
lodge of.
But that's if they were a real lodge.
It would be.
They meet on Saturdays and don't once a month and right.
Well, yeah. Our district deputy just left the East in that, so he would be the one to reach out to about that.
So.
Carducci.
Yeah. Mike, that's a 2-year term
but
too.
That's why I never joined because it was like let's meet up on Saturday mornings, guys. And I'm like to exchange papers.
It can't just be framed around breakfast.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's
truly it can't.
We were talking about this before, but Andrew, I wanted to throw it over to you because so Andrew had something. Originally, like I said, I want to go back to the theme of this. I kind of asked everybody come in with something that they could point to and say, we could do better. So go ahead, man.
All right. So I kind of, we tout the idea of making good men better. That's like the elevator pitch everywhere. And the fraternal aspect, as I've gone on about, of Freemasonry. However, specifically on the Facebook group, The Winding Stairway, which is both Mason and non-Mason, and from around the world. We are now currently in June recording. It is Pride Month. All right? Okay, cool. You know, whatever. Yeah. Do you. I don't care what you do behind closed doors. But apparently a lot of Masons do. And it caused a little bit of a firestorm. And if you're a Mason and you're vehemently disagreeing or chastising a brother, especially, for his or her sexual preference, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You took obligations. You took obligations to not do that. Yeah. This isn't a reminding an erring brother of his failings type thing, because you shouldn't be involved.
Right.
Do good amongst who? What?
Yeah, all men, especially those of the household of faith. Like,
what did I send to you, Andrew? What was the exact words? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Every human being
has a claim upon your kind offices.
It doesn't say every man. It doesn't say every woman. It says every human being.
Yes.
And that's what we all are. It doesn't matter
like
what
it got to the point.
That's why. What state was it? Alabama. They got cut from
Georgia. No, not Georgia.
Well,
yeah, it was a southern state. Yeah.
But what they're talking about is this process of recognition. And for anybody that's new to Freemasonry, I really encourage you to look up what recognition is. It's an important thing that we hold up, because it traces us back to evolving out of United Grand Lodge of England. But we've used,
and I'd like to, I want to
go ahead.
Second off of that, and I remember a very specific incident with you during a DLI. This is where I knew, that's Morgan, and he's leaving. Prince Hall. When they were talking, so in New Jersey, Prince Hall Masonry, as we've previously discussed several times, obviously, is the traditionally black people of color Masons. That idea sucks in my mind.
Yeah. The fact that it even exists.
Exactly. It goes against
historically.
It's sadly, but again,
the history of the group.
Right.
Nothing against them. They're brothers.
They're brothers.
Yes, they are brothers. Yes. I'm inviting one of them to our fellowcraft degree.
Brother of Prince Hall, actually.
Who is?
One of my neighbors.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very cool.
So like, I have nothing against them, but the idea of having this entirely separate body simply because of someone's skin tone is absurd to me, especially in this day and age.
It's archaic.
It is absolutely archaic, and like. I remember we were at DLI, which stands for District Lodge of Instruction, and some right worshipful was touting this, that, and the other thing. And in New Jersey, the agreement between regular Freemasonry, let me use some air quotes for a second, and Prince Hall affiliate Freemasonry is that we can see each other's degrees, we can go to each other's lodges, except for the Master Mason degree. Apparently, we are not allowed to see each other's Master Mason degree. Now, I've had conversations with a right worshipful Prince Hall Mason and asked him, is it so miraculously special? Like, would you allow? He's like, I'd let you come anytime. It's like, it's not my decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we both know what goes on.
Yeah.
Like, so why should I turn around and say, you can't come? Like, it's the same story. It's the same everything else.
You know, they're still not in the Book of Lodges.
Say again? Wait, what?
The Book of Lodges every secretary gets, you know?
The white book?
Well, it's yellow 1 year. And
really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
So
that
you look
stinks.
up and it says, here's the lodges that are part of
New Jersey Grand Lodge or District.
So this is a book you can look at. The secretary of every lodge gets this book, and you're supposed to look at it to see if someone comes from another lodge. They say, "Oh, what's your lodge?" And they say, "Oh, it's this lodge." And they go, "Oh, California."
Let me see where that is.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
It's in our altar. Where we keep our aprons and everything. It's in there.
Oh, that's what that book
this
is.
Book,
Okay.
it'll say New York, blah 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 blah, pages. New York Prince Hall, pages. New Jersey, pages. Pennsylvania. There's no Prince Hall.
That's messed up.
There's no
That
Prince
is
Hall.
messed up.
That has bothered me since I was secretary.
Yeah. That bothers me
It's
now.
supposed to be. I believe the problem is because it's by edict and not by constitution.
Well, edicts could change immediately.
Right. Yeah.
I believe that is
that's
the
such
issue.
a blind spot.
Edict, meaning the Grand Master will
Of
edict.
some time past.
Yeah.
Because you know how they always do all edicts before me are continuing except XYZ.
Yeah.
So I believe this is partially
could
hearsay, But
Get rid of it, huh?
yeah, I believe so.
I wish they would.
Because
do
it's not. I've had this conversation with enough people to be under the. I mean, please check. I don't want to be, spouting.
Yeah,
falsities.
double check. But
it's
if you
but
can, yeah.
I am under the assumption from multiple people that it is not in the Constitution because it was an edict.
Oh, that's a
That is
sucker.
why it is not in the Book of Law.
Well, I would say that for the four of us, very humbly, to be as well read and involved Freemasons as we are in our district and in our jurisdiction, that we can't sit here and accurately say one way or another off the top of our head. Like that's not acceptable.
The fact that we don't even know.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
upsetting.
no,
No,
sure.
that's completely
Yeah.
correct.
That's
Kevin.
So I want
Yeah.
I want to go back to this idea of recognition that we've just been talking about, with regard to pulling recognition for what other jurisdictions, at least in the United States, we would say other states, feel that, so for example, if one jurisdiction says, look, you've made a mistake, and because of it, we're going to pull recognition from your state.
Yes.
It's called
So,
amity.
so amity, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, I think that, particularly on the subject of, unfortunately, of
Homosexuality.
LGBTQ issues, we are sorely uneducated as a fraternity to what the rest of the world has to encounter on a daily basis.
I saw a very good quote in regards to the post on Winding Stairs that it shows that Freemasonry is still run by, as they say, boomers.
Well, I'm not going to go that far, but here's
Okay.
here's what
I
I'll
think
say.
that's entirely wrong.
Here's what I'll say. It's my opinion. Me as a Freemason, and I will say this in open lodge, and I'll say it on a podcast. If you are going so far as to welcome a brother with their own volume of sacred law on the altar, you're going to sit and you're going to have dinner with them downstairs, and you're going to sit in lodge with them multiple times, and then change your mind
Because you find out their
because
preference.
you find out something
Right.
about their own lifestyle.
Yeah,
Well said.
that's
You're first of all, you're infringing upon their personhood, right? Just
Number
that.
one.
Let's
Yeah,
just
number
leave it
one.
there.
Yeah.
But then you're being a poor Freemason.
yeah. Take a better look
You're-
at yourself.
You are
because, yeah.
not doing the
Agreed.
work of Freemasonry.
Agreed.
And the jurisdiction of Brother Cotter would choose to maybe have dinner with someone else. That's just my feeling. So, here's what I'll say. I'm not going to just leave it at you're doing it wrong and you need to evolve. I would be very, very happy to be a part of any conversation that would help people answer their questions, get their own
Right.
questions answered,
Right.
and to try and understand a little more. I'm not saying that it's
Meaning
a brother's job.
toward what?
So I'm not saying that it's a brother's job to change their own personal viewpoint.
Right.
But what I am saying is that as a fraternity, you are being anti-fraternal by not bridging that gap.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
there's every one of us is a frail, fallen human being.
Oh, yeah.
In our own ways, and if you were condemned for that, on whatever that happens to be, in your own personal life,
It has nothing to do with
and
your
then
character
and then you
either.
came
No.
to your lodge and you got slapped in the face for it.
Yeah.
Why would you keep going to that lodge?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes,
You'd
but,
never show
but
up
but it's reprehensible.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we should have a much stronger hand on the wheel.
There's definitely the excuse me.
It's a good euphemism.
There's definitely this aspect. I think you kind of broached the concept, Kevin, where it's even if you may disagree with an individual's choices, you're not going to attack them and block them from not only being a part of the fraternity but being part of the overarching brotherhood. Simply because their lifestyle doesn't match what you think lifestyle should be.
Were people attacking them?
Oh, it got very heated to the point where moderators had to get involved.
Well,
And-
it's the double-edged sword of social media.
That too. But the post now, the original post was made by the United Grand Lodge of England, and it was pretty basic, like corporate, like Happy Pride Month, blah blah blah, and made the square and compasses the colored flag, and okay,
Yeah, sure.
whatever. I don't care. I really don't care.
Yeah.
They've gone super inclusive.
They have with the
They
trans
really
thing
have.
and everything,
Which is
which is a whole nother.
But they've made it a whole thing.
Yeah.
Over the past couple years.
But okay, good for you guys. I don't. It sounds callous, but I don't care. If you're gonna come to my lodge, and
No, it's the best way of not caring.
what
It's
of
the
being
best way of not caring. It's I don't care. Just come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Why
doesn't
do I
matter.
care?
You are
Yeah.
a person.
like,
Please
why
come and
should
hang
this
out
make a
with us.
difference?
Right.
It doesn't
Like,
make a difference.
Right.
It doesn't matter who people
and the
sleep
f-
with.
yeah,
I can't
the-
believe
and
you
the f-
put so much
the fact that
attention on
the
this.
fact yeah exactly the fact that people still and try and quote some religious source, which I
cares?
believe will go into Billy's point of you're doing it wrong.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead because this is all.
So,
Yeah.
we believe, as a fraternal organization, we believe in a higher power, not necessarily God, not necessarily Buddha. It's a higher power, larger than ourselves, that guides us through the universe, right? So here's my problem, especially in our, what did you call it, microcosm, in our little area of the world.
America.
Yeah.
It's very much an American thing.
I understand
I'm not
have
familiar.
Okay.
not for me.
Don't worry, most of us aren't anymore.
U.S. of A, the U.S. of A.
Oh, of
okay,
A.
of
Okay,
A.
yes,
Okay,
thank you.
America. All right. So, we have a problem that I feel with Christianity having seeped a little too prevalently, in my opinion, into our works. So we
For
say
a non-denominational fraternity.
Exactly.
correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes,
That's
Morgan.
the key.
So
Yeah.
we say God, where I would rather, and this is how I can make the improvement, how we're doing it wrong. I would rather we say the grand architect of the universe,
Or some kind of substitute.
right? The grand architect. I mean, even Jesus,
Higher.
even Jesus and God have their nicknames in the Bible. So like we could come up with something for that is kind of what I expected. And honestly, as much as I love the fraternity, I love talking about all of the, Theseus's ship and all of these concepts and stuff like that. That was the one thing that I was really taken aback by my first time up in a normal meeting was
Much?
How Christian
how
this is? Yes.
how often, yeah.
Well, how Judeo-Christian.
Yeah,
Judeo-Christian.
yeah,
Judeo-Christian.
absolutely.
That's
Judeo-Christian.
completely
And
correct.
the other thing that kind of like threw me real far back, which I didn't, is I not to call them out on it, and it's just an aside because it kind of goes into the point was OES. They
Are blatantly.
yeah.
However, there are
Well,
other
no,
women's organizations that aren't within Freemasonry.
But I
Like
understand,
Amaranth is
but
still.
it is, but it isn't.
Just a name only.
Yeah, so
so that's my,
Yeah.
we shouldn't be because what if you're in a mostly Muslim lodge
know.
and you're in New Jersey? What are you still
It's so
saying?
silly, I
You know what I mean? It should be Grand Architect because we're Freemason.
To jump on that point, we actually have a petitioner in the lodge right now who's Israeli and like keeps kosher and all that stuff. And now, obviously, Adam, who's been on the show, look, we have to drop his name every
Every
episode.
time, Mr. Sash, Mr. Sash.
Obviously, he's Jewish. We have a bunch of Christians, deists. I consider myself a deist.
He's a deist.
Closer to what I am as well.
So like,
I was born Roman Catholic, but
yeah, and then I found
we'll see.
and then I grew up.
We'll see how that goes.
Anyway, that's another conversation for a different
it's a
podcast.
whole separate thing. Yeah.
But this gentleman, he and I went back and forth, and the only reason I could converse with him in this way is because I work in a predominantly Hasidic place in
Orthodox Jew. Yeah.
So like I just knew some of the lingo kind of thing. And I asked him, and excuse me.
Oh my God. Dustin.
Like, we have a Torah or a Talmud in our lodge, and I asked him, like, would you feel more comfortable taking an
that,
obligation on that? Because if you do it during my year, I will 100% take that Bible off
Make
the
sure it's
altar
there for you,
and
yeah.
make sure that the Talmud is there.
because we are not a.
Pretty sure you're supposed to.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah, if there's different denominations,
I know
think
it is
every
because
book.
Roger Woodman said so. So
Well, I mean, that's.
Shout
Please
out
tell me
to-
you're going to the roast.
Shout out to G. Roger. How are you, buddy?
So-
I hope you're doing well.
So, I mean, these are more than just best practices. These are, when it comes to the volume of Sacred Law, which is the book that we're putting on the altar in the center of the room, this is an expectation of a lodge.
Correct.
Right? So first of all, if you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong.
Number
Yeah.
one.
So
Yeah.
there's
That's the
that.
big one.
So now the
That's the big
second
one.
thing is a failing of language, which
Yes.
is what you're bringing up.
Yes.
Which is, we are very comfortable saying God, right?
Just God.
And,
Yeah.
and what we should be saying, which is a much
Deity.
more, and I don't care what people think about the word inclusive, because it is more inclusive. And if you're not using it, then you're not being inclusive.
So get out.
Use the term Grand Architect of the Universe,
Creator.
which is fine.
Creator,
but then,
deity.
But then I'm going to take it a step further. When we do these things, and they're really nice things, and I don't want them to go away, so please don't write me letters. But when
Angry
we say,
tweets
"Hey,"
incoming.
yeah, that's right. I don't care. I'm not-
Billy.bilbo.org.
I will burn them and keep myself warm.
We struck a nerve.
Caught of the
No,
gray.
that's not a
everyone.
nerve. I know I'm right.
Oh,
Boom.
So listen, when we have something like, oh, Masonic Wives Night, well, there's inevitably somebody that's going to be in here that doesn't have a wife, that
Yeah,
has a
it's
significant
true.
other,
Yep.
that their gender shouldn't matter,
Doesn't.
right? So stop calling it Masonic Wives Night.
Sonic partner's knife.
So-
Wife.
significant other, whatever you want to
significant
call
other,
it.
yeah.
Right.
Just don't, I understand that it's leftover.
It's
from
archaic,
a previous
though.
time. I understand that, but it's such a simple thing that is an expectation of the rest of us outside of Lodge.
Yeah.
To be aware of these things, at least in New Jersey. I'm not going to say that there aren't parts of this country that are much more cloistered than New Jersey, but for this area of New Jersey,
Yeah.
you are being ignorant if you don't pretend like these people live right next door to you.
I gotta say, a suggestion from Masonic Wives. I mean, I am a big fan of alliteration. Masonic mates.
Masonic mates. Yeah. Well, Billy, I was like, we can't name thing unless you're in the room.
The MMs of the MMs.
The MMs. Yeah, the MMs. I like that. I like that. Morgan. Same here, man.
So
We'll talk later.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like
that's it.
this is-
He's already got plans for his year. He's not even there yet.
This is something. This is
It should be
something
obvious.
that. Well, it's the heart of fraternalism. It is the spirit of it. It's. I mean, if you're taking a left turn at the most critical part of what it means to be a fraternal society, right? So that's why I wanted to pick this theme, because there's just stuff that, guys, like, come on.
No, oh, absolutely. There's, I mean, we brought up points that are very. I mean, like, obviously, Morgan brings up the point of like how we should be doing it within Freemasonry.
Right.
I brought up the point of how we should conduct ourselves to the world, and then Billy brings up the point of how we should conduct ourselves within the spiritual aspect of Freemasonry.
So yeah, and the thing that I'll take, because I had mentioned this before we came up. It falls under this property, this interpretation of harmony, and
Yes.
everybody in the lodge, anybody that's has set foot in the lodge, and has been initiated or passed or raised, has heard the term harmony as being something that is to be preserved.
And inculcated.
And
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
So
frequently.
Frequently inculcated.
So
and forcibly recommended.
so it doesn't just happen in the lodge.
I still screw it
Right.
up.
It's still these things. Like I think I struggle just maybe as we all do every day with the idea of really working what the square and compass means, right? And sometimes, the compass thing is like, it's really hard. Sometimes it's hard right now in having
It.
Circumscribe those bands.
So you remember back like early 2000s, you'd have the audio visuals. Like, you play a song and just be like a bunch of lines and everything. Sometimes it'd be a
The
circle. and
equalizer.
just,
The equalizer,
yeah.
yeah.
That's mine. Like, it just bounces out this
Right.
way.
Oh, yeah, this-
It's still within the circle.
So listen, I mean, if you wanted a barometer, if you wanted a way to kind of stick the tank, just stop yourself in making what might feel like a judgment and say, is this to the betterment and harmony of my lodge and myself and the people around me, or is it not? And can I see what the world looks like from that other person's perspective for just a second before I impose myself or my opinion or anything like that. I mean, I think that we don't need to waste time doing this.
It should be second nature.
If we're doing it well. No,
Yeah.
we
Right.
have to. No, it's going to take work.
Yeah.
It's going to
Well,
take education.
yes.
It's
It'll
gonna
never
take
be second
uncomfortable
nature. It'll
conversations.
Not anytime
it'll
within
just-
our
but
lives.
It'll just be easy.
But it's
easier.
if we're doing it
We're all
right.
bachelors.
Yeah.
If we're doing it right, it doesn't matter how hard the work is. It doesn't
Right.
matter how much time it takes.
Right.
Right.
It'll be the right thing to do.
It'll be self-evident.
It
Yeah,
is.
oh, yeah.
It is to the betterment of all.
You'll see the results immediately.
Yeah.
It's true.
And I think that's a amazing note to go out on. As always, Kevin.
See the results.
Yeah. It harkens back to that one statue of the man carving himself out of stone, which isn't even Masonic.
Yeah.
It was some other artist's bit, but still,
So-
we love showing that off.
I want to thank Morgan particularly for being here. This is a lot of fun, man.
Yes, Morgan. Thank you so much.
And I
you
have to
so
thank
much.
Morgan for keeping himself within due bounds,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know just from the conversation we had pre-show that
Outside, yeah.
this
Morgan was
could have
ready
gone on till 1 a.m. And
ready
I'm
to
pretty sure our
flip
engineer
the
doesn't
table
want to
and
have
yell at
that.
the camera.
We were here long enough last night. So, with that, again, thank you all for listening. You can find our show on the Olive Branch Lodge 16 YouTube page and also on Instagram at The Extended Branch. Myself and my buddy over at Chris Aballo's Podcast Experiment are working in the background to further disseminate this podcast to more medium out there. So, with that, for Brother Billy Bilbo, Brother Kevin Cotter, Society of King Solomon,
I'll still come have dinner with you tomorrow.
Brother Morgan Hoxley, I am Worshipful Brother Andrew Zatello, and this has been another episode of The Extended Branch.
Good night.